Not to brag, but I watch football. And most of the time, I enjoy watching good teams play football. The best teams often win the most trophies, and sometimes those teams win 3 trophies in the same year. I don't know if you know this, but there have been a lot of years. And only in 10 of those years, a team in Europe has won the treble. The treble is when a team wins 3 trophies, but really we're talking about a continental treble here, so domestic league, main domestic cup, and the main continental trophy. So, who are the Big 10 then? Let's start with...
Let's take them back.
Obviously this team won the treble, but they also won the 2 other trophies they competed for in this season, making it the first European quintuple. The team, led by legendary and influential manager Jock Stein, transformed a side that had gone 8 years without a trophy into the best side in Europe. Hard to believe this now, as it has been some time since a team from Scotland was considered one of the best in the UK, let alone the rest of the continent. The team was built around the fact that each player played for their teammates. The team played with cohesion that was bred from the trust and acceptance of each other, and the belief in the big man at the helm. The names of the players that later became known as Lisbon Lions, when they beat Inter Milan 2-1 in Lisbon to become the first British team to win the Champions League, can be rattled off by many Hoops fans. However, one name that wasn't there on that evening was Celtic legend Joe McBride. McBride played his last game of the season on Christmas Eve, yet still finished the season as Celtic's top scorer, as he scored 35 goals in 26 appearances. However, McBride claims that missing out on the biggest night in the club's history saved his life, as his injury led doctors to discover cancer in his leg as they operated on him. This season saw Celtic score a world record 196 goals in all competitions, as the club were made immortal that season. The boys also became the second side to win the Champions League, with a team composed entirely of players born from the club's country. These players were also born no more than 30 miles from Celtic Park.
Coming up, I was confused, my mama kissing a girl.
This is the start of Ajax's three-peat of European Cups, and the first season without Rinus Michels as manager since 1965. The man behind Total Football had left the club for Barcelona after changing the fortunes of Ajax, and was replaced by Romanian Stefan Kovacs, who took over the club and arguably achieved more than his predecessor. The team, spearheaded by Dutch football icon Johan Cruyff, only lost 1 game in the entire season, remaining unbeaten at home in every tournament. The team that won the treble this year would include 6 players that would start for the Netherlands in the final of the World Cup in 1974, with Johan Cruyff leading the way in goals for Ajax, as they became the second Dutch team to win the European Cup, 1 year after Feyenoord achieved the feat in 1970.
Daddy ain't around, probably out committing felonies.
We had to wait 16 years for our next treble, and once again we found ourselves in the Netherlands. The Dutch side had just sold Frank Rijkaard to AC Milan in the summer for £6 million. Forward Wim Kief led the goal-scoring charts for PSV, but was closely followed by Ronald Koeman, who played predominantly as a defender for the season, scoring 29 goals for the club. Manager Gus Hiddink achieved this miraculous feat in his first year of managing a first-team side, as his side unremarkably won the European Cup, losing to Galatasaray in the first round, beating Bordeaux on away goals in the quarter-final, and Real Madrid in the same way in the same scoreline in the semi-final. An unmemorable 0-0 draw in the final against Benfica meant PSV had drawn their 5th game in a row in Europe, but a sudden death penalty shootout crowned the Dutch champions and treble winners. Sir Alex Ferguson's 12th year at the club had seen many successes, but this would be his crowning moment. With Gary Pallister and Brian McClare leaving the club in summer of '98, Jaap Stam and Dwight York were brought in as replacements, while goalkeeper Peter Schmeichel announced mid-season that this would be his last year playing for United. Their average team age removing goalkeepers in the Premier League that season was 24.7, mainly thanks to the large amount of academy players that played a huge part in the season. "If you're good enough, you're old enough," said Matt Busby when he managed United to the great heights in 1945 to 1969. And Sir Alex Ferguson took this notion, as his team was driven forward by the class of '92. Paul Scholes, Phil and Gary Neville, Nicky Butt, Ryan Giggs and David Beckham were all key members of that team that won the treble that year. Beckham would finish the year as runner-up in the Ballon d'Or, behind Rivaldo, as the Red Devils became the first English team to win the treble. An iconic season for Man United was characterised by their immense comebacks against Liverpool in the FA Cup 4th round, Juventus in the Champions League semi-final, but none more so than the day they became treble winners. United's 2 injury-time goals against Bayern Munich in Barcelona cemented this United team into history, with one of the greatest sporting moments ever. Legendary players Dennis Irwin, Andy Cole, Teddy Sheringham and Roy Keane were key elements of this team, and the final goal of the season, scored by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, has been ingrained into the head of football fans for over 25 years now.
Go ahead, envy me. I'm Raps MVP.
This Barcelona team had a great feel to it, sort of cosy and homey. 11 of the 24 players listed in the club squad for the season came through La Masia, appointing former academy graduate Pep Guardiola after 1 year of coaching Barcelona's B team. He made a few big changes, which saw these big-name players all leave in the summer. The team was stacked with legendary names, either coming to the end of their careers or just starting. From Sergio Busquets' debut season with the first team to Thierry Henry post-Arsenal, Barcelona developed an iconic style of play that would personify Pep Guardiola's entire career. Tiki-taka led to some incredible team goals being scored by many of the players in the team, as Samuel Eto'o led La Liga in scoring. Lionel Messi, however, was the overall top goal scorer at the age of 22, as he would go on to lift his first of 8 Ballon d'Ors later that year. The iconic midfield trio of Xavi, Iniesta and Busquets would flourish and establish itself, as the emergence of Busquets would relegate Yaya Touré to the bench, or he would find himself, as he did in the Champions League final, playing centre-back with Gerard Piqué and Carles Puyol either side of him. The treble, however, would be tainted by a highly controversial semi-final against Chelsea, where Barcelona edged past the Blues with 10 men, while simultaneously avoiding clear penalty claims for Chelsea, epitomised by this scene with Didier Drogba. Barcelona became the first team to win a sextuple, as they won 3 more trophies in 2009.
Now I'm going back to Cali with my Jacob on, see how time flies.
Back-to-back years with the treble, and Samuel Eto'o had done so for the second time, as he was swapped for Zlatan Ibrahimovic, in a move that saw the Swede join Barcelona. Jose Mourinho led the team to become the first and only Italians to achieve this feat, as they won the Serie A on the final day to beat Roma to the title by 2 points, 11 days after they had beaten Roma in the Coppa Italia final. 6 days later, the team from Milan would conquer Bayern Munich 2-0 with both goals from top goal scorer Diego Milito in front of 80,000 in the Bernabeu. This season was highlighted by the masterclass of Jose Mourinho over reigning champions Barcelona, as Inter took a 3-1 lead into the second leg of the Champions League semi-final. This incident, involving Sergio Busquets and Thiago Motta, saw the Brazilian Italian to see red in the 10th minute. The defensive masterclass of Mourinho held Barcelona to only 1 goal and led to wild celebrations in the Camp Nou. Star player Wesley Sneijder was thought to have been snubbed of a well-deserved Ballon d'Or later that year, as he also finished runner-up in the World Cup in South Africa, after playing a crucial part in both club and country's success in 2010. This was also the same season in which Football's Next Star was filmed, a British TV show where the next big thing in football was said to be found and sign a professional contract with Inter Milan. Does anyone else remember this or not?
From the beginning to the end, losers lose, winners win.
Bayern Munich broke or matched 30 records in the season, as they lost 1 game in the Bundesliga. Their dominance in the league was unparalleled, and they achieved a record 91 points. Not even the unbeaten team of Bayer Leverkusen in 23-24 achieved as many points. Their typical dominance in the DFB Pokal came as no surprise. The surprise came in the semi-final of the Champions League. Bayern put Tito Villanova's Barcelona to the sword, beating them 4-0 at home and 3-0 away, with an emphatic performance from Arjen Robben, Thomas Müller and Frank Ribéry. The Germans left Barcelona in their wake as they approached an all-German final, as they clashed with Borussia Dortmund, led by Jurgen Klopp. Bayern took the lead in London through the summer signing Mario Mandzukic, but a reply from Ilkay Gundogan from the penalty spot 8 minutes later tied the game once again. In the last minute of normal time, a scuffed effort from Arjen Robben found the back of the net and crowned Bayern champions after their heartache the year prior against Chelsea. German icons Manuel Neuer, Philipp Lahm and Bastian Schweinsteiger were core members of the team, as Jupp Heynckes' team became the 7th team to become treble winners, and the 3rd in 5 years.
Used to see 5-0 throw the crack by the bench.
Securing their 2nd treble in 7 years, Luis Enrique's Barcelona became the first club in history to become treble winners twice. The close time period between both trebles meant that multiple players now joined Samuel Eto'o as 2-time treble winners. Despite earning 94 points in La Liga, Barcelona were made to wait until the final day to become Spanish champions, as Real Madrid trailed them by only 2 points at the end of the season. Luis Enrique's team only lost 1 and drew 1 of their final 18 games in Spain's top division. In the summer, Barcelona lost Victor Valdés, Carles Puyol, Alexis Sanchez and Cesc Fabregas, but they reinforced with a major signing of Ivan Rakitic, which provided energy as a replacement to Xavi, who was in his final season for Barcelona. The signing of Luis Suarez from Liverpool allowed Barcelona to form the deadliest forward line in history. Accompanying his South American compatriots, Lionel Messi and Neymar Jr., the trio known as MSN scored 122 goals combined in all competitions that season. This extraordinary season for Barcelona seems to be the final glorious moment for the culés in Europe, as they would be on the receiving end of some of the most emphatic Champions League comebacks in history in the following years.
How they spent $30 million on airplanes.
Bayern joined Barcelona as the only other side with multiple trebles, as they were clinical behind closed doors in 2020. Following a halt to the season due to the pandemic, Bayern's season resumed in May, where they won each of their last 16 remaining games in all competitions. In their first season without both Robben and Ribéry, Bayern Munich were led to victory by some familiar faces, who joined the multiple treble winners list. The German side are the first on this list to be treble winners and have a managerial change. Niko Kovac was in charge of the Bavarian side until November 3rd, before being replaced by Hansi Flick. Bayern was spearheaded by the unrelenting force of Robert Lewandowski. The Polish international scored 55 goals that season, and was obviously named as the Ballon d'Or winner that year. With the knockout stages of the Champions League being played in August due to the pandemic, the format of the competition was altered slightly. Quarter and semi-finals were to be decided over one leg, and one leg was all Bayern needed in the quarter-final as they annihilated Barcelona once more, as they ran out 8-2 winners in Lisbon, then 3-0 winners 5 days later against Lyon, before becoming champions of Europe for the 6th time, when they beat PSG 1-0 thanks to a goal from former PSG player Kingsley Coman. This Bayern team also joined Barcelona as they became only the second team ever to win the sextuple.
No school books, they use that wood to build coffins.
And now to the most recent treble winners. Another team from Manchester, and another team led by Pep Guardiola. Man City and their bucket load of money became the second English team to become treble winners. The addition of Erling Haaland to an already domestic dominant team allowed City to finally get their hands on the Champions League. Haaland's 52 goals in his first 53 games for City proved crucial, as the Norwegian was scoring for fun in his first year this season in England. Notable players to impress this season included playmaker Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, and one of the greatest players in the world, holding midfielder Rodri, who provided key moments throughout the season, including the winning goal during the club's second ever Champions League final, where they met former treble winners Inter Milan. Captain Ilkay Gundogan led by example throughout the season, in particular when he scored both goals in the FA Cup final against Man United, the first of which within 12 seconds of kickoff, the fastest ever in the competition's most important game. The looming question over City's 115 charges brought up by the Premier League leaves some sort of a stain on their accomplishments, but we can only wait to see which squad becomes the 11th to become treble winners. Consider liking this video while you learn about goals.